It's no secret that the new Battlefront 2 game has taken a beating from gamers and critics alike for its reliance on microtransactions and its various shortcomings overall as a game. Well, today we're going to be throwing our hat into the ring because, trust us, we're not happy with the new game either. Welcome to Trending 10, and today we're going to be counting down the top 10 things that gamers hate about the new Star Wars Battlefront 2. Number 10, canon problems. This is a smaller problem, but it's still frustrating as a Star Wars fan. In the classic Battlefront games, you would never see a hero fighting alongside an army that wasn't their own. Darth Vader would fight with the Empire, Han Solo would fight with the Rebels, and Anakin would fight with the Republic, you know, so on and so forth. However, in EA's new Battlefront 2, the canon of heroes has been thrown out of the window for the sake of the loot box system, helping encourage players to buy more drops in order to unlock expensive heroes that could be used on any map, regardless of whether or not it makes sense in terms of who is fighting. I know that canon really doesn't matter in Battlefront since you're playing through battles that didn't actually happen, but it can definitely be immersion breaking when you're fighting against the Trade Federation and all of a sudden you see Rey running around. Number 9, smaller lobbies. There's not much to say about this one. The classic Battlefront hosted lobbies of up to 64 players, while the new Battlefront caps at only 40, and that's only for one mode. It's strange that the lobby size has been dropped down so much, because on many of EA's new maps, it seems that 64 players would fit perfectly, as there are many large maps in the new Battlefront 2 that feel a little empty even with 20 players on each team. Battlefront has always been about large-scale battles that help recreate the thrill of Star Wars, and the smaller lobbies of the new game definitely take away from that feeling. Number 8 is no bots. Now, another thing that helped increase the fun and value and immersion of the previous games was the fact that there were bots running around alongside real players. Sure, these bots weren't very good and were extremely easy to kill, but that was the point. There was something so fun about running around and cutting down tons and tons of bots until you stumbled upon a real player, and it became much more methodical since you couldn't just run up at guns blazing. The abundance of bots in the previous games helped to add a large-scale feeling of Star Wars, and EA and DICE's decision to not include them in the new game doesn't help anything. Number 7 is only 5 game modes. 5. While the classic games featured a tons of ways to play, EA Battlefront 2 only contains 5 game modes: Galactic Assault, Starfighter Assault, Strike, Blast, and Heroes vs. Villains. Where's Hunt? What about Capture the Flag? Can you imagine Capture the Flag in a Battlefront 2017 with 20v20 lobbies on the Galactic Assault maps? That would be extremely epic in my opinion. Why is there only one game mode with 20-person teams? Why can't we play Strike or Blast with larger lobbies? EA took a lot of heat back in 2015 due to the first Battlefront lacking so much content, and it's surprising that the sequel has the same problems. Number 6 is less control over private games. Speaking of game modes, who here remembers instant action from the classic Battlefront 2? Instant action, if you guys don't know, was an awesome feature that allows you to choose any map, any mode to play on, and create your own playlist so you and your buddies could play match after match after match, while knowing that you were only playing the maps, modes, and eras that you wanted. Classic Battlefront was always about getting together with people and playing however you wanted to play, and the new game just doesn't allow that in any way that the classics did. It's an extreme epic fail that DICE, didn't jump on this opportunity, because it would be super fun and I'd probably buy the game. Number 5 is no hybrid modes. Again, speaking of game modes, who here remembers classic space battles? While the new Battlefront 2 has a fantastic flight controls and the dogfighting is a ton of fun, there is a key aspect of the space battle missing. In classic Battlefront 2, space battles weren't just about offense, they were also about defense. Each team had to attack the enemy's main cruiser while protecting their own, and you had to leave your cruiser, fly to the enemy's cruiser, get out of the hangar, and destroy it from the inside out, creating a hybrid of space and ground combat, as you had to make sure that you had people staying at the base and defending it from enemy troops. If EA and DICE were to add a hybrid mode like classic space battles, it would be incredibly amazing and I would buy it instantly, but I highly doubt they're gonna do that. It's almost like DICE and EA are doing everything possibly to not copy Pandemic, when everybody in the community, every Star Wars fan alike, has been telling them, copy Pandemic, do exactly what they did, but do it better. If they make a game like Battlefront 2 by Pandemic and just, 2017 it and add a bunch of new stuff, that game would sell like hotcakes. But instead of hotcakes, we get this hot garbage that EA tried to sell us. Number 4 is the one and only Galactic Conquest, or lack thereof. One of the main selling points of the classic Battlefront is Galactic Conquest, and it's one of the best ways you could ever experience Star Wars in a video game ever. This mode was essentially a galaxy-wide game of risks, as you and your opponent tried to methodically take over the galaxy one planet at a time. Every time you tried to take a planet, you had to fight for it, and if you ever came across the enemy fleet on your journey, you had to engage in a massive space battle to destroy them and proceed with your conquest. Each victory would grant you credits that you could use to buy upgrades for your troops and even recruit new soldiers like snipers, shock troopers, and more. Galactic Conquest was Battlefront, and the removal of it in the 2015 Battlefront was definitely upsetting to many fans, and it's very strange that we have yet to see it come back, and I'm not sure what's holding EA or DICE from putting the mode back in, but you know, knowing EA, they probably just wanted to put Galactic Conquest only available in loot drops. Now, number 3 is Star Cards. Now, this system could have been freaking awesome, but all it ended up doing was create a blatant pay-to-win system that has been covered over and over and over again by other YouTube channels who are way better than us. The short version of this fiasco is, in fact, the star cards act like perks in Call of Duty games, allowing you to equip them to your soldier and they give you stat buffs, but the catch is that all of these cards are not obtainable or upgradable in the gameplay. Instead, they must be acquired through the opening of random loot drops, completely killing all progression or balance that this game could have had with a system like this. And speaking of which, at the number 2 spot is loot boxes. Now, EA's Battlefront 2 has one of the most embarrassing examples of loot box system in gaming history. Now, aside from the awful star card system that they locked behind a paywall, the loot boxes in general in Battlefront 2 are just awful. These things are filled with hot garbage, including uninteresting emotes, worthless amounts of crafting materials, and at the end of the day, they're just way too expensive, making the entire system a huge grind. Now, last but not least, at the number 1 spot is Electronic Arts. Challenge everything. Why did you have to do this to us, EA? Tell me, why? Why? You could have made so many people happy if you just remastered the classic games or at least used them as a roadmap to make a new one. You could have made so many people happy and they could spend so much money on your games if you didn't lock the progression behind loot boxes and just made the micro DLC cosmetic only. You could have made so many people happy if you bumped up the player counts, game modes, and elements of the classic games that made Battlefront famous in the first place. But no, you just had to save more money, didn't you? You just had to use the Battlefront name to sell copies despite the game having little to no resemblance to the actual series. Let's just hope that Disney wises up to EA's behaviors and cuts ties with them. There's so many talented and good developers and publishers that would love to make a Star Wars game. There's no reason to stick with EA anymore, despite how much money they give you. I'm sure the good people at Bethesda or even CD Projekt Red would gladly make a Star Wars game if you give them the opportunity, Disney. Now, DICE, if you want redemption, this next Respawn Entertainment Star Wars game better be beautiful and it better be fun, or you are finished, and I will gladly boycott all EA games if you ruin another game like you did this one. Guys, that pretty much wraps it up with this video. Let us know what you thought of it in the comment section below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your post notifications on, and don't forget to check out our sponsors in the description. And until next time, this has been Nemo from Trending10, and I'll talk to you guys on the next video.